For 800,000 years, the galaxy had been a battlefield. From one end of the stars to the other, countless alien species fought for power, territory, and survival. The galaxy, once full of life and beauty, had become a place of destruction and despair. Planets were shattered, civilizations wiped out, and entire star systems burned in the endless war. In the center of this chaos was the Galactic Council. The Council was made up of the most powerful species in the galaxy, and for centuries, they had tried everything to stop the fighting. They had signed peace treaties, called for ceasefires, and even tried to broker peace talks between the warring factions. But no matter what they did, the war never ended. Every time peace seemed possible, another battle would break out, and the fighting would continue. The Council had grown desperate. The war had gone on for so long that they had begun to lose hope. Every species had their own agenda, their own goals, and no one was willing to compromise. The galaxy was locked in a never-ending cycle of violence. The Council's fleets were vast and powerful, but they were no match for the scale of the war. No one had the strength or the will to end it. Far from the center of galactic power, Earth had always been seen as insignificant. A small, isolated planet at the edge of the galaxy, humanity was just beginning to explore the stars. The rest of the galaxy barely knew Earth existed, and those who did saw it as a weak and primitive species, far behind the technological and military power of the galactic giants. Humans had no ancient history of war like the other species. Their technology was rudimentary compared to the advanced fleets of the alien races. The Galactic Council, in all its wisdom, thought little of Earth. They saw no reason to worry about a planet so far away, a species so young. After all, how could humans, with their primitive ships and small population, ever stand up to the vast empires and mighty fleets of the galaxy? As the wars continued, Earth quietly began to change. The humans had long been known for their ingenuity and creativity. Slowly, they started building, advancing, and researching in secret. At first, it seemed harmless, just small scientific discoveries, some new technologies, but nothing that would raise any alarms. Yet, over time, Earth's technology began to grow at an exponential rate. What had once been small advances turned into something powerful, something the galaxy had never seen before. The humans began to design and build ships like no other. Their engineers worked day and night to create weapons that could rival the mightiest warships in the galaxy. But they did so quietly. They did so in secret. No one knew what humanity was planning. The other alien species continued to fight, focused on their own wars, unaware that the humans were developing a weapon that could end the entire conflict. The Galactic Council, too, remained oblivious to the growing power on Earth. They dismissed any reports of human advances as over-exaggerated or unimportant. To them, humanity was still a joke, a species that didn't belong in the grand scale of galactic power. Then came the first signal. It was a strange, cryptic message. Unlike any other communication the galaxy had ever received, it came from Earth. The message was brief, but it was enough to get the attention of the Galactic Council. They couldn't decipher it at first, but the Council was intrigued. What could humans want? What did this message mean? Before they could even start to investigate, Earth made its move. A single human ship, the first of its kind, entered a major war zone. It was a ship unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Massive, heavily armed, and armed with technology that was far beyond anything the alien fleets had ever encountered. It moved through space with deadly precision, cutting through enemy lines, destroying everything in its path. The galactic forces laughed at first. They thought it was a mistake, or perhaps a rogue ship with no support. But then, the ship launched its first attack, a barrage of energy weapons so powerful it tore apart the elite warships of a powerful alien fleet. The attack was swift, deadly, and precise. The aliens were stunned. They didn't understand. How could a single human ship, so small and insignificant, have such incredible firepower? The message was clear. Earth was no longer the weak species they thought it was. The galaxy's greatest powers had been mocking humanity for years, dismissing them as nothing more than a speck in the vastness of space. Now they had to face the truth. Humanity had changed. They had built something the galaxy had never seen before, something that could bring an end to the endless war. But the rest of the galaxy was not ready for this new power. They didn't know how to respond. As humanity's ship destroyed more alien fleets, the Galactic Council scrambled. They sent their most powerful forces to stop Earth's ship, but it was too late. The humans had awakened a power that was unstoppable. The galaxy was about to change, and no one knew what to expect. For the first time in 800,000 years, there was a glimmer of hope. The war might finally be coming to an end, but no one knew how or who would emerge victorious. One thing was certain: humanity had just made its boldest move yet. The war between the galaxy's greatest civilizations raged on. But now, everything had changed. The first human ship, an enormous advanced warship, had done the impossible. It had taken down fleets that were thought to be invincible. The aliens who had mocked Earth, calling it primitive and insignificant, were now facing something far beyond their expectations. As the first human ship, known as the Phoenix, continued its relentless path through space, the galaxy was thrown into chaos. The alien species that had once dominated the stars now found themselves struggling to keep up with humanity's technological advances. The Galactic Council was in disarray. They had underestimated Earth for so long, believing that humanity was just a small, insignificant species. They had ignored the whispers of human progress, dismissing them as myths or over-exaggerated rumors. Now those rumors were violently proving true. The Phoenix had unleashed weapons that no one had ever seen before, energy blasts that could melt through the strongest shields, and precision strikes that left entire fleets in ruins. The aliens, who had long considered themselves the rulers of the galaxy, now watched in horror as their once feared ships were torn apart by humanity's ingenuity. The council held an emergency meeting, but even their most powerful members didn't know what to do. The galaxy's greatest minds were stunned. How could this happen? How could a species so young, so untested, suddenly wield such power? The response was swift and aggressive. The Council immediately sent its elite fleets to Earth, determined to destroy this new threat before it could grow any stronger. They sent their best commanders, their deadliest ships, but none of them were ready for what they were about to face. As Earth's technology continued to evolve, so did their fleet. The Phoenix wasn't alone anymore. Humans had quickly adapted, and soon a fleet of warships, each more advanced than anything the galaxy had ever seen, was ready to take on the greatest military powers the stars had ever known. With their ships equipped with technology far beyond anything the Council had seen, the humans now stood as a formidable force. It was a symbol of defiance, a sign that Earth had stepped out of the shadows. No longer was Earth just a forgotten world on the edge of space. It was now a force that could not be ignored. The Council's initial response had been to try and wipe out this new threat with their fleets, but every time they engaged, the humans grew stronger. The Phoenix was no longer the only ship of its kind. Human technology had spread like wildfire across Earth, and it didn't stop there. Earth's forces had developed new weapons and strategies. What was once a single ship was now a growing fleet of unstoppable dreadnoughts. Each ship carried weapons that could tear through the hulls of the alien warships with terrifying precision. Even the elite fleets of the galaxy's most advanced species couldn't stop them. The humans had turned their greatest weakness into their strength. They didn't have the long histories or ancient alliances that the galaxy's major powers had. They didn't have the vast resources or the centuries-old traditions, but what they had was something far more dangerous: ingenuity, unity, and the will to fight for survival. As the human ships continued to strike fear into the hearts of the galaxy's mightiest powers, the message became clear. Earth was no longer a footnote in the galaxy's history. They were becoming the new power in the stars. On Earth, the atmosphere was tense. Humanity had not only been able to defend itself, but had now become an unstoppable force. People everywhere looked to the skies with hope and fear. No one knew what the next move would be, but one thing was certain: humanity would never again be underestimated. The war was far from over, but now it had a new face, a human face. The question wasn't whether humanity could end the war, but when and how they would choose to do so. Every alien fleet that tried to challenge them was defeated. Every battle the humans fought ended in victory. The tide of the Galactic War had changed, and Earth was the new center of power. Even as the elite fleets of the galaxy mobilized for one final strike against Earth, a new fear began to settle in. The human fleet was not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for control. With each victory, their power grew. With each defeat, the alien forces became weaker. The balance of power had shifted, and the once invincible alien fleets were on the brink of collapse. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy's greatest powers began to question their own place in the stars. Could the war be won, or had humanity already made their move to claim dominance? The Council was in turmoil. The unexpected rise of Earth's power had thrown them into chaos. Their once unchallenged reign over the galaxy now faced the terrifying prospect of being overthrown by a species they had considered insignificant. The leaders of the galaxy's greatest powers met in secret, their faces grim, their eyes filled with uncertainty. Humanity had made its move, and it was unlike anything the Council had ever encountered. The aliens had expected Earth's forces to crumble under pressure, but instead, they had grown stronger with each battle. The Phoenix was no longer alone. Humanity's fleet now boasted dozens of warships, each equipped with advanced technology that made even the greatest alien ships seem outdated in comparison. The Council knew they had to act, but they were divided. Some argued for an all-out assault on Earth, using every last ship and weapon. They had to crush humanity once and for all. Others, more cautious, suggested negotiations, hoping to avoid total annihilation. But the Council's leaders knew deep down that this was no longer about negotiation. It was about survival. They could not afford to appear weak. Behind closed doors, the most powerful members of the Council devised a plan. A final, devastating assault on Earth. They would send their most powerful fleets, armed with the most destructive weapons known to the galaxy. They would crush humanity's hope in one decisive blow. But this time, the Council had to make sure they did not underestimate the humans. They would strike hard, fast, and without mercy. As the fleet's commanders prepared their forces for battle, the leaders of Earth's military were equally determined. The warships on Earth's side had become a symbol of humanity's resilience. Each ship was armed with weapons capable of ripping through the strongest alien defenses. The Phoenix, once Earth's lone hope, was now joined by newer ships, each more deadly than the last. Humanity had made their decision. They would not just survive, they would fight to win. The leadership of Earth was fully aware of the incoming threat. News of the Council's final assault reached Earth's military leaders quickly. They knew that a full-scale galactic warship fleet would soon be headed toward their home. And they knew they had only one chance to stop it. The humans did not flinch. Their resolve was as strong as steel, their will unbreakable. The high command of Earth's military had made their preparations long before the Council's fleets began their approach. In the depths of Earth's military command centers, humanity had developed a counteroffensive that had been years in the making. The alien threat was real, and humanity's response was swift. They would fight with everything they had, and they would not back down. The humans had also learned from their previous encounters with the alien fleets. They had analyzed every battle, every strategy, and every weakness of the alien invaders. They had studied the alien tactics, and they had adapted. The humans were ready, not just to defend Earth, but to take the fight to the stars. The countdown began. Every ship in Earth's fleet was mobilized, every weapon primed for battle. The Phoenix, now fully upgraded, led the charge. Its weapons glowed with a deadly light, and its engines roared as it powered up for the final confrontation. Behind it, the rest of humanity's ships followed suit, their advanced technologies ready to meet the alien onslaught head-on. As the Council's fleets approached Earth's defenses, the tension in the galaxy grew unbearable. The Council believed this would be the end of the human resistance, the moment when their fleets would finally eradicate the threat. But they had made a critical mistake. They still underestimated humanity. The first wave of alien ships descended upon Earth like a storm. Thousands of warships, each one a colossal symbol of the galaxy's might, stormed through space. The Council's fleets, eager to crush humanity's resistance, were ready to unleash hell. Their weapons were primed, their warships brimming with energy. They believed victory was inevitable. But as the alien ships approached, something unexpected happened. The humans had anticipated this moment, and they had prepared a deadly surprise. In the vastness of space, Earth's fleet struck first. The Phoenix led the charge, firing its advanced weapons with deadly accuracy. In the blink of an eye, the first alien ships were reduced to space debris. The remaining alien fleets hesitated, stunned by the ferocity of humanity's response. The battle began, and the galaxy was once again plunged into war. But this time, it was different. This time, humanity was ready. Every ship, every human soldier, every commander was focused on one goal: to protect Earth and to send a message to the galaxy. They had fought for survival, but now they fought for victory. The Council's fleet, once thought to be unbeatable, was already starting to falter. Humanity's power was undeniable. The shockwaves of Earth's surprise attack reverberated across the galaxy. The Council's elite warriors, who had once fought with impunity, were now forced to fight for their lives. The tide of war had shifted. Earth had shown the galaxy that it was not just a backwater planet. It was a force to be reckoned with. The dark void of space was filled with the hum of battle as both sides met in the cold silence of the stars. The tension that had been building for years finally erupted in a cataclysmic confrontation. Earth's fleet, led by the legendary Phoenix, stood firm against the mighty alien forces, their weapons gleaming like stars ready to be extinguished. The first wave of alien ships slammed into Earth's defenses with terrifying force. The Council had thrown their most advanced warships into the fray, their sleek forms bristling with powerful weapons capable of annihilating planets. But the humans had anticipated this moment. Every ship in the Earth fleet had been meticulously prepared, each vessel armed with the most advanced weaponry known to mankind. As the alien ships opened fire, Earth's fleet responded in kind, unleashing a barrage of energy blasts that tore through the vastness of space. The Phoenix, the crown jewel of Earth's fleet, led the charge, its weapons pulsing with deadly power. With each shot fired, the massive alien ships began to crumble, their once imposing armor melting under the intense heat of humanity's weapons. For the first time, the Council's forces felt the sting of defeat. The human fleet had made a dramatic leap in technology, and it showed in their overwhelming firepower. Every alien ship that fell to Earth's might sent a ripple of shock through the enemy ranks. They had underestimated humanity's capacity to adapt, to survive, and to strike back with force. On board the Phoenix, Commander Rachel Summers stood at the helm, her eyes locked on the battlefield. She had seen countless battles before, but nothing compared to the scale of what was happening now. Her hands gripped the controls, her heart racing with adrenaline as she issued orders to her crew. She knew that this battle would determine the fate of humanity, and she was ready to do whatever it took to ensure victory. Fire at will, she barked, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. The Phoenix unleashed another volley of plasma blasts, and the explosion of alien warships was seen across the stars. One by one, the alien ships were torn apart, their once unbeaten fleets now buckling under the pressure of Earth's newfound strength. Yet the alien forces were not going to go down without a fight. They regrouped, sending in their second wave, an even larger fleet that dwarfed the initial assault. Earth's fleet wasn't about to back down. The battle raged on, and every ship in the fleet fired relentlessly, each shot delivering destruction to the alien invaders. The once dominant alien forces were now struggling to maintain their ground as the sheer numbers of Earth's ships began to overwhelm them. However, despite the overwhelming odds, the aliens weren't done yet. They began deploying their secret weapon, a fleet of advanced dreadnoughts, each one capable of laying waste to entire fleets with a single strike. These ships were equipped with energy cannons powerful enough to incinerate anything in their path. The humans had no choice but to face them head-on. The Phoenix, its systems glowing with power, charged forward into the heart of the alien fleet, flanked by Earth's most advanced warships. The dreadnoughts' massive guns opened fire, their energy beams slicing through the void, but the human ships dodged and returned fire with precision, ripping apart the alien ships in a stunning display of power. "We've got this," Commander Summers whispered to herself, even as the intensity of the battle escalated. However, not all of humanity's ships were as lucky. A few of the smaller vessels fell under the onslaught of the alien dreadnoughts, their debris scattering across the void. But their sacrifice wasn't in vain. Every fallen ship meant that the larger, more powerful ships had a chance to strike back harder. Then, something unexpected happened. Just when the alien forces thought they were gaining the upper hand, Earth's final ace in the hole appeared. From the depths of space, a new fleet of warships, sleek, faster, and more powerful than anything humanity had ever produced, emerged. The Archangels, a newly constructed fleet designed for this very moment, joined the fray. The Archangels were a marvel of human ingenuity. Each ship was armed with experimental weapons that were still in the early stages of development, but had proven to be deadly in training exercises. The alien dreadnoughts, despite their size and power, were no match for the new fleet. The Archangels began to tear through the alien ranks with brutal efficiency, their advanced weaponry disabling the dreadnoughts with pinpoint accuracy. The aliens, who had thought they were on the verge of victory, now faced a threat that they hadn't anticipated: the full might of humanity. With each passing minute, the balance of power shifted further in humanity's favor. Earth's fleet, bolstered by the Archangels, pushed the alien forces back, forcing them to retreat. The shock of what was happening reverberated through the galaxy. The humans, who had once been dismissed as weak and unworthy, had turned the tide of a war that had lasted for millennia. The Council's most powerful fleets, once thought to be unstoppable, were now on the run. The shock of Earth's response had shaken their confidence to the core. It was clear that humanity's strength was no longer to be underestimated. They had shown the galaxy that they were not just survivors. They were conquerors. The alien invaders had been forced to retreat, but the war was far from over. The humans knew this was just the beginning. With the galaxy watching, Earth's fleet stood ready to face whatever the Council would throw at them next. And they would do so with the knowledge that they had already made history. They had not just fought to survive. They had fought to win. As the battle continued, the vast expanse of space was a chaotic sea of fire and destruction. Earth's forces had shown their resilience, but the war was far from over. The once unstoppable alien dreadnoughts were now retreating, but Earth knew that the victory they had earned in that initial clash wasn't the end. The galaxy had witnessed the unexpected shift in power, and it was only a matter of time before the alien empire regrouped and struck back with more force. Commander Rachel Summers stood on the bridge of the Phoenix, staring at the viewscreen as the last of the alien dreadnoughts disappeared into the depths of space. Her crew worked tirelessly, keeping the ship operational, coordinating with the other vessels in Earth's fleet. The battle may have been won, but there was no time for celebration. "We need to move quickly," Summers muttered, her mind racing. "The aliens will be back, and when they return, they'll be prepared for us." She had learned enough about the alien forces during the conflict to know that their pride, their arrogance, would drive them to retaliate. The Galactic Council would not take this defeat lightly. The warships Earth had unleashed were powerful, but the aliens had fleets beyond imagination. The upcoming battle could be their final chance to dominate the galaxy, and Earth could not afford to make a misstep. "Commander, we've intercepted a distress signal," said Lieutenant Harris, a young officer working at the communications console. "It's coming from the outer rim of the galaxy." Summers turned sharply. "Is it from the Archangel's fleet?" "Not exactly," Harris replied. "It's a civilian distress signal. There's a colony in the outer rim that's under attack." "We're the closest ship, Commander." Summers' mind raced. The outer rim was a far cry from the epicenter of the war, a region that had once been considered insignificant by both the aliens and Earth. The fact that a colony on the fringe was now under attack by an unknown force raised more questions than answers. Was it a diversion? Was it a trap? "Prepare a course for the outer rim," Summers ordered, her voice firm. "We can't leave them to fend for themselves. But stay alert. We don't know what's waiting for us out there." As the Phoenix altered its course, heading into the unknown, the rest of Earth's fleet followed suit. They passed through the debris of the battlefield, the remnants of alien ships floating in the blackness of space. Every destroyed vessel was a reminder that humanity had come a long way, but it was also a signal that the war was not over. Earth would need to be prepared for anything. The journey toward the outer rim was tense. No one spoke much. Everyone knew that they were walking into uncharted territory. The thought of a trap weighed heavily on the minds of the officers aboard the Phoenix. They knew the aliens would not let their first defeat go unpunished, but they also understood the importance of protecting Earth's colonies. Every life mattered in this war. Hours passed, and the stars outside the windows of the Phoenix flickered by as they traveled deeper into the galaxy's uninhabited regions. The distress signal had come from a small mining colony that Earth had established for resources. Nothing significant in the grand scheme of things, but it was vital for Earth's ongoing war effort. If the colony fell, it would be a severe blow. Finally, they arrived in the vicinity of the colony. The situation was worse than Summers had anticipated. The colony, a small collection of outposts surrounded by mining operations, was under siege by a fleet of unknown ships. These were not the alien dreadnoughts that Earth had fought before. No, these were smaller, sleeker, more agile vessels that moved with a precision that sent chills down Summers' spine. "Report," she ordered. "We're detecting hostile ships, but they don't match any known alien designs," Lieutenant Harris said, analyzing the data. "Their technology is advanced, but not like anything we've seen from the Galactic Council." "Are they allies of the aliens?" Summers asked, her voice tense. "It's possible," Harris replied. "But they don't seem to be aligned with the Council. They may be independent, mercenary ships or rogue factions." "Prepare for battle," Summers ordered. "We'll give these invaders a warm welcome. Open fire once we're in range." The Phoenix led the charge, firing its weapons as it approached the alien fleet. The enemy ships responded quickly, launching a barrage of plasma projectiles aimed at Earth's vessels. The Phoenix dodged, returning fire with pinpoint accuracy. The smaller ships might have been fast, but they couldn't outmatch the Phoenix's devastating firepower. The battle was intense, but the human ships were more than capable of holding their own. The rogue fleet didn't stand a chance against Earth's superior technology. As the battle raged on, however, one thing became clear. These rogue ships weren't alone. As the last enemy ship was destroyed, the Phoenix picked up a massive energy signature in the distance. "It's too big to be one of theirs," Lieutenant Harris said, his eyes wide in disbelief. "Commander, there's something coming. Something massive." The energy signature grew stronger with each passing second. Something was heading toward them, something that would make even the most powerful fleet shudder in fear. Summers' instincts kicked in. She turned to her crew, her eyes steely with determination. "All ships, prepare for evasive maneuvers. Whatever that is, we're not backing down." The calm before the storm had ended. What was coming next would determine the fate of the galaxy, and Earth was about to be thrust into an even more dangerous battle than they could have ever imagined. The stars flickered in the distance, their light a stark contrast to the dark shadows now creeping into the solar system. The Phoenix and the rest of Earth's fleet were still recovering from the skirmish with the rogue ships, but the crew's attention was now fully focused on the incoming energy signature, something massive, something far beyond what they had ever encountered before. On the bridge, Commander Rachel Summers stared at the view screen, her fingers tightly gripping the armrest of her chair. The growing intensity of the energy signature made it clear this wasn't just a fleet, it was something much more dangerous. The sheer magnitude of the signature was unlike anything Earth had ever seen. Every instinct in Summers' body told her that this was no ordinary enemy. It was the true force they had feared, the one that could change the tide of the war. "Captain, the energy signature is approaching rapidly. We need to prepare for whatever is coming," Lieutenant Harris reported, his voice tight with worry. "We've already lost too many ships," Summers muttered. "This can't be happening. Not now." Her thoughts raced. What if this wasn't just another rogue faction or mercenary fleet? What if it was something far worse, something that even the Galactic Empire feared? She tried to calm herself, focusing on the mission. There was no time for fear. They had to act. "We have no choice but to face it head-on," she said, standing up with resolve. "Raise shields and prepare all weapons. We're not going to let them take Earth without a fight." As the crew scrambled to follow orders, the atmosphere aboard the Phoenix grew tense. The vast emptiness of space was suddenly filled with a sense of impending doom. Everyone on board knew that this could be the moment where everything changed. Humanity had survived the alien onslaught before, but this felt different. This felt like the endgame. On the view screen, the enemy fleet materialized from the darkness like a wave of destruction. It was unlike anything they had seen before. The ships weren't just massive. They were ancient. The metal was tarnished, covered in centuries of wear, yet the power emanating from them was palpable. The ships were covered in strange markings, symbols no one recognized. They were relics of a forgotten war, long lost to history. "There's so many of them," Lieutenant Harris gasped, his eyes wide in shock. The Phoenix's sensors detected thousands of ships, and they were advancing in perfect formation, a wall of death that seemed unstoppable. But at the center of the fleet was something far worse, an enormous flagship, larger than any of the alien dreadnoughts Earth had faced. The flagship had dark, gleaming hulls that reflected the light of distant stars, its surface littered with ominous designs. "Commander, that flagship, it's unlike anything we've ever seen," Harris said, voice trembling. It's ancient. It's older than the Galactic Empire itself." "Ancient? How is that possible?" Summers asked, her mind racing. She had never heard of anything like this. Ships that had survived for thousands of years, surviving the wear and tear of galactic warfare. But there was no time to dwell on it. The threat was real, and they had to act. "Lieutenant, plot a course around the enemy fleet. We need to avoid a head-on collision," Summers ordered. "Contact all ships in the fleet. We're facing something we've never seen before." As the Phoenix moved to dodge the incoming ships, the rest of Earth's fleet followed suit. The battle was imminent, and they were no longer fighting for victory. They were fighting for survival. A low hum echoed through the Phoenix as its weapons powered up, ready to unleash destruction on the enemy. Yet, as they prepared for the battle, a sudden shift in the enemy fleet's position sent a wave of confusion through the crew. The ancient ships weren't just moving into position to strike. They were surrounding Earth's fleet, cornering them. Summers' breath caught in her throat. The enemy wasn't just here to fight. They were here to trap them. "They're creating a barrier. We're surrounded," Lieutenant Harris said, his voice a mix of disbelief and panic. The situation had escalated quickly. The Phoenix was now trapped in a formation with no escape. There was no place to run, no way to retreat. The only option left was to fight and hope their weapons were powerful enough to break through the ancient ship's defenses. "Open fire," Summers shouted, her voice sharp with determination. "This ends now." The Phoenix unleashed a barrage of energy beams, each one striking the nearest enemy ship. The ancient fleet responded with a ferocity that left Earth's ships struggling to hold their ground. The battle was fierce, and the enemies were relentless. The energy shields of the Phoenix flickered under the onslaught as enemy ships continued to fire, their weapons devastatingly powerful. But amidst the chaos, Summers noticed something odd. Despite the overwhelming power of the ancient fleet, there was a noticeable vulnerability in their formations, one that Earth's fleet could exploit. The flagship, at the center of the enemy fleet, was surrounded by a swarm of smaller ships, almost like a protective shield. "Target the flagship," Summers barked. "If we can take that down, the rest of the fleet will fall apart." The Phoenix's guns adjusted, and the ship fired with precise aim at the flagship's weak spots. The powerful blast struck the enemy flagship's hull, causing it to tremble under the force of the attack. It was a gamble, but it was the only option left. As the battle raged on, Earth's fleet continued to push forward, determined to pierce through the ancient enemy's defenses. The odds were stacked against them, but they had no choice but to fight. Humanity's survival depended on it. The battle was no longer just a fight for survival. It had become a fight for the future of humanity. The enemy fleet had proven itself to be a formidable force, with its ancient ships bristling with advanced technology far beyond what Earth's forces had ever seen. But amidst the chaos and confusion, humanity was not about to back down. The Phoenix's hull shuddered under the repeated strikes, the shields flickering as energy blasts pummeled them from every direction. The crew was pushing themselves beyond their limits, responding to the increasingly desperate orders from Commander Rachel Summers. Sweat beaded on her forehead, but she kept her focus. There was no time for panic. There was only the mission. "Captain, we can't take much more of this. The shields are failing." Lieutenant Harris shouted over the comms. His voice trembled with the weight of the situation, but Summers could hear the determination in it. The Phoenix and its fleet had fought valiantly, but the ancient enemy's firepower was overwhelming. "We can't give up now," Summers said, her voice unwavering. "I've seen what humanity can do. We fight. We win." But she knew it wasn't going to be easy. The enemy flagship, a monstrous ship of ancient design, was still at the center of the enemy formation, with its fleet closing in on Earth's ships. If they couldn't take down the flagship, the rest of the fleet would fall upon them, and there would be no escape. "Target the flagship's power core," Summers ordered. "If we can disable their main power source, we can destroy the whole fleet. Everyone, focus fire." Her command was clear, and the Phoenix's weapon systems roared to life. The ship's weapons fired relentlessly, sending energy blasts streaking toward the flagship. For a moment, it seemed as if the flagship would never falter. Its shields were powerful, and its weaponry was devastating. But with every shot, Earth's fleet was pushing closer to victory. They couldn't stop now. As the Phoenix dodged a volley of incoming fire, the crew witnessed a moment of hope. The flagship's shields began to crack. The energy shield, once impenetrable, was now showing signs of weakness. The relentless assault from Earth's fleet was taking its toll. It wasn't just the Phoenix. Other ships in the fleet were targeting the flagship with their most powerful weapons. "Keep pushing. We can do this," Summers yelled. But just as hope seemed within reach, a new threat emerged. From the center of the enemy flagship, an explosion of energy erupted, followed by a surge of hostile ships. A fresh wave of enemy reinforcements had arrived, forcing Earth's fleet into a dire position. The odds were now even worse. The enemy was relentless, and their numbers seemed endless. "This is it," Harris said, his voice filled with panic. "We're surrounded." Summers glanced out the view screen, her heart racing. The remaining Earth ships were being pushed to the edges of the battlefield. The Phoenix was surrounded, its escape routes blocked. There was no way out, only the fight ahead. In that moment, Summers realized something crucial. The battle wasn't just about numbers or firepower. It was about human will, about the defiance that had brought humanity to this point. The very thing that made them strong was what would carry them through. "There's always a way," Summers whispered to herself. The Phoenix was not just a ship. It was a symbol of humanity's refusal to be conquered. She was not going to let her crew or her people down. "Prepare the last-ditch maneuver," she ordered, her voice steady and commanding. The crew, though exhausted, responded immediately. It was a bold, risky move, one that would require all the firepower and all the remaining energy from the Phoenix to succeed. They had no other choice. They had to make it count. "Full power to all engines," Summers shouted. "We're going in." With all the remaining energy funneled into its engines, the Phoenix surged forward, charging directly into the heart of the enemy fleet. The remaining Earth ships followed suit, flanking the Phoenix as they coordinated their final assault. The enemy flagship, now surrounded and out of options, fired every weapon it had left, but it was too late. The Phoenix made its move. In a spectacular display of coordinated firepower, the fleet's ships targeted the weak points in the flagship's defenses. The flagship groaned under the pressure, its hull starting to buckle. Explosions erupted across its surface as the relentless barrage from Earth's fleet tore into it. Then, with a final, resounding blast, the flagship's power core erupted. A massive shockwave rippled through the battlefield, sending waves of energy tearing through the enemy fleet. It was over. The remaining enemy ships, their leadership decimated and their forces in disarray, began to retreat. The battlefield fell silent as the last remnants of the once dominant fleets scattered into the darkness of space. Humanity had done it. They had survived. As the Phoenix floated among the wreckage of the enemy fleet, the crew stood in stunned silence. Their bodies ached, their hearts raced, but they had done it. Earth had not just survived the Galactic War, it had ended it. The ancient fleet had been defeated, and the war that had raged for millennia was finally over. Commander Rachel Summers stood at the front of the bridge, gazing out at the debris floating in space. Her crew had done the impossible. The galaxy would never forget this day. Humanity had proven itself capable of anything, even in the face of the most overwhelming odds. "We did it," Summers said, a rare smile forming on her face. "We ended the war." And with that, the Phoenix and the fleet of Earth ships sailed into the silence of space. Victorious, humanity had carved its place in the galaxy, not as a fleeting species, but as a force to be reckoned with. The galaxy would never laugh at them again.